Hello, Pisces! Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. For the main part of the read, I'm using Gilded Tarot Royale by Ciro Marchetti, text by Barbara Moore. Where is your thing? It's at the bottom. Website at the bottom. Hopefully it is viewable, llewellyn.com. And there's a couple other social media links. Feel free to check out anything you're interested in, of course. Supportive Oracle cards. Energy Oracle cards by Sandra Ann Taylor. I don't think it's on the outside of the book, but it's in the book itself, or a few websites if you want to check them out. Feel free. I think there's a list of stuff there too that she's done. Feel free to freeze frame and check out whatever you're interested in. There's also a picture of Sandra if you're interested in that information. Okay. Pisces. Pisces. Dun, 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 dun. Comes with a song this time. Why are you conflicted about this? Okay. Okay. You're conflicted? Are you conflicted? Are you not? Okay, hold on. Something good is coming in. It might be monetary. The first thing I'm getting is let the past go. Okay. Before we go down this road too far, I love to always say it at some point that I'm a Pisces too. So just in case this sounds brutal, I'm getting whatever this is actually going to be really good, but there's some type of emotional hang up. There's something that you got involved in. It could be a job-wise thing. Could be anything. Could be a person. Could be a romance interest. It's a general read. See where it hits for you. But I'm getting like, whatever it was in the past, it started really good. It had its heyday. And then it passed. Okay. It's something that if the way it evolved, it just didn't go, it didn't evolve where you wanted it to evolve to. Can we get a little bit more information about that? It might have been stuff out of your control, just to be fair. You have the wheel was a factor back then, and then the Four of Cups. Whatever it was in the past, it was good for a time, but I just feel like the way it evolved, it had factors that were completely out of your control, and it just went somewhere that, like, well, when the time passed, it was time to let it go. And it was very important to you at the time, and it's something kind of like if that could happen again, that'd be great, but like I wouldn't want that situation back, but something better in place of it might be worth it. I kind of feel that way. Like I feel like the energy is kind of saying, I wouldn't really want that situation back because of the way it played out, but I would love to be a part of that, but something I could actually believe in that would go better. I feel like you're kind of like trying to understand if this is something kind of like, is that subject just always going to be damaged no matter what I do? Or can it go better? If I have a good start again, is it possible for it to stay? Or is it just kind of like no matter what I do, it's always going to be damaged? I feel like there's this internal battle with that. And this is another reason I'm feeling that way. You got the Five of Wands, which is a conflict card. Whatever was in the past, it could be job-wise, it could be romance-wise, it could be friendship-wise. Whatever it is, I feel like you're trying really hard to see the truth of it, is what I'm getting with the Emperor. And you're being maybe brutal, maybe a little bit brutal with that truth to yourself. So, be nicer to yourself for one. But you're very like, I don't know. Does it matter? If I do it again, will it still end up the same? Do all these things just have a shelf life? It kind of feels like that. Because you got something that's starting to show up. And there is some type of social connection with it. When I read the Three of Cups, it's a social connection, usually a positive social connection. Doesn't have to be through friends, could be through coworkers, could be through family members, but it's usually, when I'm getting the way these two are coming in, somebody's getting an offer, or bringing an offer towards you, bringing something towards you. It's through a positive connection. At least during this moment, it's a positive connection. How's that? Maybe not something, maybe the person that's bringing this towards you isn't always operating in your best interests, but once in a while they do, and this is one of those times. There's a lot of like tension with that. The advice here is to let go of the past. Don't. I don't like that word. Try not to connect to what you've been through. Be aware of it, but we don't want to repeat what we've been through. Like, see the differences. We don't want to ignore the past. We clearly don't. But we also want to see the differences between what was and what is. We want to make sure we see that. Because I feel like whatever's coming in, it does feel like a different energy. I don't really think the past is returning. Like, I don't feel like past people are coming back. I just feel like there's similar, like, I've been through this type of situation before. It started off great, but then it kind of like, after a while. And it's kind of like, is it worth going through the great time just to end up flat on my face again? And you might have like that drawback, like, I feel like this happens a lot with romance for people, kind of like, yeah, I had a great romance at one point, but then it ended because of whatever happened. And I'm like, yeah, I can believe that it can start off great, but sooner or later it always takes a downward turn. It's kind of like giving it a chance to not. Like, there's a new thing coming in, there's a new possibility. It's kind of like, don't judge the outcome based on what you've already had. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Because I feel like a lot of people, it's a protective thing. It's kind of like, I'm just trying to be realistic with myself. I don't want to get too excited or too connected to something that's going to fail me at some point down the line. It's understandable why you might feel that way, but it's kind of like you're kind of also shooting yourself in the foot if this reading is hitting. Makes sense. I'm not saying it doesn't. It definitely makes sense, but it's kind of like whatever you're going towards, you seem to be engaging with it anyway. It's just giving it a chance. You definitely have a different view on things. Like a lot of times, for example, if this was a friendship, I used to be attracted to toxic friendships. I don't know what to say about that. But I have like, there was some, not all the friendships I had were toxic, not all of them. But like, I don't know, I put up with stuff I shouldn't have been putting up with. And I feel like I participated in some of it by not communicating well. So I kind of like opened the door, like they would treat me poor, and then I wouldn't say anything, and then they get used to it, and then it would just kind of escalate from there over time, maybe slowly but surely. So in my opinion, me looking back from my life, kind of like me communicating that better, it might not have gone where it went. Those people probably would have exited my life before that, which is fine. Which would have been a better end than what happened, if that makes sense. I don't feel like me speaking up would have changed who somebody was, but I feel like we kind of would have went our separate ways a lot sooner than we did, and it wouldn't have been as bad as it was. But the point is, I've learned things along the road. You know what I mean? You've learned things along the road. If you're connecting with people and you're really worried about like liking them in the beginning and things going downhill as you go, I would recommend, I'm obnoxious with this, fair warning if you've watched a lot of my videos, Paul McKenna, How to Mend Your Broken Heart. I have deconstructed friendships that were not as good as I wanted to believe they were. And it was very uncomfortable to see that, but it was thankfully uncomfortable enough that like when certain things start playing out again, it's like this blinding light, like, oh yeah, that's happening again. And I veer away from it. I've also noticed that it makes it kind of like, it makes me also realize when somebody's treating me well, and I'm more attracted to that. Like, it wasn't only blocking me or getting me away from things that I didn't really want. I started finding that I was more attracted to things that actually, when people treated me well, I kind of recognized that more, if that makes sense. So if you're having issues with people or like you trust people in the beginning and then they disappoint you, that book really helped me identify actual red flags, if that makes sense, like actual red flags. Like sometimes people see red flags as like, oh, that person was nice to me, they're setting me up. That's not really a red flag. That's maybe an insecurity, like, oh, it's happened before, it's happening again. So it kind of helped me like realize like that's not a red flag. But it also helped me realize, it's somebody's starting, they start talking about gaslighting and they're always feeling like they're getting gaslighted and you're not seeing where. Even though they're not accusing you of gaslighting, they say that everybody gaslights them. And then when somebody says stuff like that, I didn't see it at the time, but especially if somebody is always complaining that everybody else is trying to gaslight them, then you start realizing that they're gaslighting other people and they're gaslighting you. I'm just saying, sometimes, not always, when people complain about the same thing over and over and over again, it's not not happening to them, but it might be something that they do more readily than not. I don't know why I'm putting that out there, if that hits for somebody, but like, it's kind of like when somebody introduces themselves and they tell you they're a really honest person. I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, that's exactly the opposite. Or when somebody says they're a really nice person and you're like, oh boy. And I'm like, if you are, I don't think you'd have to tell me. That's, you know what I mean? Those things, I don't know why I'm putting that out there. I feel like it's along those lines. When you start realizing when somebody comes off or starts telling you, or they're getting to know somebody and they're saying, I'm really, really, I'm really whatever. I'm really, really a good baker. Let's make it simple. And then, you have their salty, hard as rock cookies and you're like, oh my God, yeah, they're so good. Yeah, no, they're not. I think you get the point. The reason we're saying this and bringing this forward and going on and on and on and on and on about it is because you do have something really good coming in. That heyday is coming back. It has a different outcome. I don't really like the idea of guarantees. I don't think life really does that, to be fair. Like, there's so many factors in life. This looks like it's better. I'm going to say that. This looks like it's better. Different factors, different things going on here. Giving this a shot is a great idea. Giving yourself credit in the sense of like you've been through a lot. There's been a lot of red flags and you're seeing them more than you ever have before in your life. So giving yourself a chance to go through this and realizing that you see red flags more than you did, the true red flags. Highly recommend. If you're still not confident with that, that's why I'd say the Paul McKenna book. It might help you boost that confidence to feel like you do have that more under control if you're not completely sure you do. There could be money involved with this. I keep getting this because this fell out upside down. No more restraints. Could be financial. This does say financial restraints if you want to see it. Could be money. It doesn't have to be. This is a general read. But not feeling restrained, not feeling held back, having connections, especially if in the past maybe you got into a relationship, and this is talking about a relationship, and the more you got to know that person, the more restrictive, the more controlling they got, which might be the reason it ended. That shouldn't be playing out here this time. This should be different. This should be definitely, that same thing should not be playing out here. I also feel like if it started to happen, you would immediately shut it down or walk away or go numb and just kind of let it trail away. I feel like as a Pisces, I'm just going to say when people get really rotten, I don't feel like we usually I don't think we always go for the conflict. I don't think most of us do. But we just kind of start fading back and just kind of let it go away. Kind of like, we don't need to fight about it, but we're done. So let's just kind of let it disappear. I don't know. I think it's a Pisces thing. You can tell me if I'm wrong. This next thing, like you have a lot of value coming in. A lot more balance. I don't want to forget this either. The High Priest, that's not the High Priestess, that's the Empress. The Empress succeeds the most when they look out for themselves as much as they look out for other people. When you ask for what you want and you help other people get what they want. Like, you're a part of it. You know what I mean? If you're going to have a buffet, for example, and you're going to participate in the buffet, maybe it's not only making something and helping set up and maybe helping break down, because I think as a Pisces we do that a lot of times. But if you're going to go and be a part of the buffet, you make something that you think other people will like, but that you definitely do as well. You look out for yourself as well as others. Like, I'm going to make something that I like, that I think everybody else will too, but that way there's definitely this one thing I like there. You know what I'm saying? Or like if people are getting together and deciding what they want to make, you're saying the type of things that you like as well. You're participating in the sense of including yourself in, like, I want stuff that I want. I'm willing to bring other things. I'm willing to help. I'm willing to be a part of this and participate, but I want also my needs to be met too. That type of thing. And that's like going forward. I feel like that's a more mature Pisces energy when you start realizing, like, you can't just be helping everybody, expecting them to like you because you're helping everybody. Part of that balance is not, like, because I feel like we're very helpful. I feel like Pisces are very helpful, typically. You got to also include yourself and ask for what you want as well and make sure that you're getting what you need. Help others, but make sure you help yourself too. Like, if you're going to go and help other people clean out their house, Make sure you give them the opportunity to help you back in return, help some way. Maybe you don't want them cleaning out your house too, that's fine. But maybe you need a ride somewhere, or maybe you need some help with a certain subject, or maybe there's certain things that they could help you with. Maybe you need it like to find a new job, and you're like, I see where you work. Do you know, are there any jobs where you're working? Because I'm looking for other things like this nature. Allow them to give back to you. They don't have to give back the same way you're giving to them, but allow them to give back to you. Make sure you vocalize that when you need something, you include them too. That's how you get those bonds. That's how you create those bonds. That's how you keep this balance. That will also very much help this situation evolve in a better way. I think Pisces, especially when we're younger, I feel like we give and we don't ask for return as much. Maybe that's just me, but I feel like a lot of us Pisces do that. And as we get older, we're like, that's the imbalance. That's not right. That's what's setting me up to get screwed over. So if we start putting that energy out there, maybe you do help somebody. Maybe you ask for something in return, and maybe they jet. That's a gift. First of all, if they were just looking to use you, you don't need that. Let that go. The really true good connections you want that will serve you, you can talk about what you want too. And as you give, they want to give back to you. They have that appreciation. They have that gratitude for you, the same gratitude you have for them. Keep that in mind. Because I know that I've heard that from other people. Like, yeah, well, I don't like to ask because when I ask, then people walk away from me. Let them walk away and do not follow them. Let them walk away and do not follow them. Let them go. Because if you do for them and then you ask for help back and they're like, oh, I don't know you, then good. Let that happen. And just make sure that when they need help later, you don't know them either. I'm just saying. Once is fine. You help somebody to try to get closer, and then you need something, they don't know you. Make sure when they need something again later, the second time, you don't know them either. Fair is fair. I know it may sound harsh, but it's really not. It's fair balance. Are we good? All right. I'm going to shut this down here. Hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.